The musty scent of old books filled my senses. Sunlight streamed through the bookstore window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. It was a perfect Saturday morning. I reached for a worn copy of Wuthering Heights, my fingers brushing against another hand. Startled, I turned to find a man already smiling apologetically. His eyes, the color of warm honey, held a hint of amusement. My latte chose that moment to leap from my cup, splashing onto his shirt. Mortified, I stammered apologies. He laughed, waving it off. No harm done. Emily Bronte always did inspire passionate reactions. We spent the next hour discussing the tragic romance of Heathcliff and Catherine. His insights were sharp, his passion for literature mirroring my own. As we said goodbye, I felt a flutter in my chest, a feeling I hadn't realized I'd been missing. The following Saturday, I found myself drawn back to the bookstore. To my surprise, he was there too, a copy of Jane Eyre in his hand. A smile bloomed on his face as our eyes met. "Fancy meeting you here," he said, his voice warm and familiar. We fell into an easy rhythm, our weekly trips to the bookstore becoming a cherished ritual. We explored different worlds through shared pages, our conversations flowing effortlessly from literature to life, dreams, and everything in between. He never defined our relationship, and neither did I. It was enough to bask in the warmth of his presence, to share the quiet joy of our Saturday tradition. But a part of me, a hopeful hidden part, dared to dream of something more. One Saturday I found the bookstore unusually quiet. He wasn't in his usual spot. My heart sank. On the table, propped against a stack of novels, was a note addressed to me. His familiar handwriting, usually so full of life, seemed strained. The words blurred as I read. He was leaving. A sudden job opportunity overseas, a chance he couldn't miss. He apologized for not saying goodbye in person. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. The bookstore, once a haven, felt cold and empty. I reread the note, each word a fresh wave of pain. He was gone. Weeks turned into a blur. I tried to lose myself in books, but the words felt hollow without him to discuss them with. One afternoon, I found myself drawn back to the bookstore. As I stood by our usual table, a familiar laugh echoed through the room. My breath hitched. It couldn't be. He stood by the counter, his smile as radiant as ever, arguing playfully with the bookstore owner. Fury and relief warred within me. He was here! He turned, his eyes widening as they met mine. Before I could speak, he crossed the room in a few long strides. "It was a prank!" he blurted, his eyes pleading for understanding. "My roommate's idea, a going-away joke before I moved in with..." He trailed off, his cheeks turning crimson. "With you," I whispered, my heart pounding. He took my hand, his touch sending shivers down my spine. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world. And in that moment, surrounded by the comforting scent of old books, I knew love had found me in the most unexpected way.